What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we are back once again with another episode of the F1 2019 Career Mode Championship. Hopefully you guys are happy that I haven't left like a week or 2 weeks break between episodes. It's only 3 days this time. We'll hopefully get that number down again in time for the next episode. So here we are for the British Grand Prix. We have a major rear downforce upgrade heading our way for this circuit. It's gone on the car, and it's another positive growth in developments, but as always seems to be the case this season, all the other teams, they're just rapidly developing. I feel like at this point, a lot of the other teams have discount upgrades applied, as well as probably a good portion of quality control upgrades as well, because not only are they upgrading consistently, but they're also going on the car as well. So the development rate is absolutely insane. I feel like Liberty Media need to put a budget cap on this career mode series, because we're going flat out. We've got all the cogs turning in the Toro Rosso factory, but it still can't seem to be enough, at least on paper. I do feel like we're making some solid ground when it comes to the results actually in practice, on the track. But in theory, on paper, doesn't look like we're making the huge upgrades that we were hoping to make. But you can never fully trust the development chart, and we will kind of disregard that for the time being. So heading into qualifying, we're going to chuck on some newer components, and we're going to hopefully be just as competitive as what we were in Austria. So let's roll on quali and see how we do.
Here we are then, waiting for the green lights to get qualifying underway for the British Grand Prix.
So here we are then for qualifying. This could be a make or break weekend, or make or break qualifying session. Basically, the way that the circuit is laid out, just the nature of the circuit and how fast the cars are these days, you spend the majority of the time being at full throttle. It's almost like an oval circuit, like there's not much time to be made up through the corners because there's so little heavy braking zones, and a lot of the corners are flat out. So if you have a fast car that is with a good engine, low drag, and you've got enough downforce to go flat out through a lot of the corners, you're going to be massively faster than those around you. And if you've got a slow car, there really isn't too much you can do to actually make up the difference. So this could be a very brutal weekend for some teams, Mercedes of which look like they are possibly the slowest car. My teammate Danny Kvyat not making it out of qualifying one. He is the last runner to set a competitive time, and he's just been absolutely trounced. He's 1.1 seconds slower than what I managed in qualifying. Even in practice, I was very, very competitive. I did lay out everything on the table in Friday practice, but yeah, in saying that, I feel like Danny's not doing a good enough job, and I feel like the board at Toro Rosso probably need to start looking elsewhere for a better drive if we really want to be competitively shaking up the midfield and those top teams in the sport, because Danny has done nothing, unfortunately. So I might be having a chat to the higher ups in the team in the coming races if things don't change, because now this is where it really starts to count, really, guys, because we've got a better car now with a couple of heroic performances here and there. You can get this car in the points, and Danny just doesn't seem to be showing that at the moment. So yeah, needs to improve. He showed glimpses of it at the start in Austria, but then he fell backwards. So he really needs to find a return to form. But anyway, it is qualifying 2 now. This is our best lap of the weekend, and we're just showing it in all of its entirety. A couple of small mistakes here and there, so there probably is a little bit more room for improvement, but otherwise, you can see how flat out I am throughout the circuit, really just trying to get the most out of this car. We're still lacking a little bit of downforce, even relative to a stock Mercedes, say in time trial, for example. There are some corners like Copse, the old turn 1, where I could probably go flat out if I get the line perfect, but that's still not the case in this car. We still need about, I'd say, probably 10% more downforce in order to match what a stock 2019 Mercedes could do. But, with that said, we've still got a good package. We end up in P13. I could have actually gone out again for the end of the session, but I was in danger of actually getting into qualifying 3, and I actually didn't want that because we'd be limiting ourselves to starting the race on a used set of soft compound tyres. So we're going to start a little further afield, and we'll have the flexibility of starting on the mediums or just starting on softs but having fresher softs to get to the end of the race. Silverstone can traditionally be a high tyre wear circuit, especially for the front left tyre, so that is something that I'm taking into consideration for this race. It's not online. The likelihood of getting taken out, held up, etc. is a lot lower in career mode, so I feel a lot more at ease to take that kind of risk. So it'll be P13, and what I'm actually going to do is chuck in an even newer power unit component for the race to make up the difference even further. So we'll take the risk, and hopefully it pays off for us in the race. British Grand Prix doesn't get any better than this. Let's go to the race.
The pain of parting is nothing to the joy of meeting again. And how joyous indeed it is to be back at Silverstone once more for the British Grand Prix. The queues to get in this morning extended miles back down the A43, such is the enthusiasm for Formula One in this country. Alongside me once again for coverage of today's race, it's none other than the great Anthony Davidson. Why don't we kick off by discussing Max Verstappen? That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs. So it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
You qualified higher than we were expecting, so see if you can keep this position in the race.
Thank you, Jeff, and welcome, guys, to the grid of the Singapore Grand Prix. Yes, you guys have been sleeping on this career mode series for far too many episodes, but we are here regardless. We're starting from P13. There is no grid penalties for anyone up further afield. There is a penalty for Pierre Gasly, which demotes him down to P20. So unfortunately there isn't any free positions to be gained off the start, but we will do with what we can in this race. Away we go for the British Grand Prix, and it looks like a pretty decent start. I actually elected for the alternate strategy, but it looks like Jeff was caught napping and has left the soft compound tyres on my car, so we have to deal with the soft to medium strategy to round out this race as we get completely ignored by Lance Stroll on the run into turn 4. No biggie, we'll just take to the grass like we just did, and we will hope to mount an attack once again in this Grand Prix. Picked up a couple of positions there, so a pretty good start. A few people were pinched on the inside, just caught being a bit conservative and not getting tangled up with each other, and I made full use of that. Now we're putting the pressure on Stroll here. Let's see if we can get a nice exit. Not quite the case, and we'll have to bide our time for now as we head on to the hangar straight. You can see still tucked under the rear wing of Lance Stroll. We might actually go for a dive here into the club section, and there we go up the inside. Lance leaves the space, and we are through now for P11. No, I think it's actually P10 in this British Grand Prix, and now we can set after the top 9 runners. You can see Charles Leclerc is just up the road, and he is actually getting past Daniel Ricciardo in the Racing Point. Still seems very weird that Ricciardo decided to go to that team, but hey ho, he's one for making very bold choices in terms of career mode team, but we'll just let him go about his devices and maybe hope for Racing Point's sake that they become the best car at some point. But it looks like it's a long way off as Charles Leclerc goes back up the inside, up into turn 1, and Ricciardo is left clutching at straws in P9. Let's see if we can cling on to these guys with DRS and put the pressure on. But I've got to say, even though these guys are battling, racing side by side into a lot of these corners, we're not actually really getting any closer. We're not really catching up, or we don't have the pace to really put the pressure on to actually get past. So trying to get any closer is proving to be a real difficulty at this stage. We are pulling away from the cars behind, which Lewis Hamilton is leading the train of, but we just can't move forward any further despite having the DRS and slipstream. So it looks like P10 might be our best results of the day if this form holds true for the rest of the race. We've actually lost DRS now, as I was expecting a team radio. We cut away from that, but I was just getting a feeler of what Hamilton's lap times were behind now that I've lost DRS, and I think actually Hamilton might ever so slightly be edging towards me once again. Here's a running look at the top 5. You can see Red Bull are in a league of their own. Haas are in their own postcode as well. And then the rest of the field is following suit in P5 and 6. And meanwhile, the battle of the ages, Charles Leclerc and Daniel Ricciardo rages on in this British Grand Prix. But still, I cannot catch up. I'm falling further and further back. I just don't have the pace. And this goes back to what I said earlier.
Hamilton is behind you. Our gap behind is 2.7 seconds. They're on old softs. Their tyres are 8 laps old. We think they've got one more stop. The time last lap was a 1:28.4.
Yeah, I'm not really sure if he's catching, but I think it might be in Hamilton's favour by a couple of tenths per lap. But this goes back to what I was going to say earlier on the weekend, is that like if you've got a bad car, it really gets exaggerated at this track because you're flat out pretty much the whole way around the lap, and there's not too much you can do from a driving standpoint to really make up the difference in terms of the lack of car performance. I feel like I said earlier on in the weekend, we are lacking just a touch bit of downforce, but maybe because we're flat out all the way around the circuit, maybe we don't have the greatest amount of straight line speed or drag reduction, and that is costing us because, yeah, we're flat out all the way around the circuit for the most part, apart from like maybe Stowe and Cops, the old Turn 1. These sections of the track, I can actually make up a decent amount of time, especially in the first sector, but that's about it. Like, I'm flat out just about everywhere else, and I'm really just a passenger, in all honesty. So I'm giving this Toro Rosso everything that's worth, but we just don't have the pace to run with those around us, at least in race trim. Hopefully the pace will be better on the mediums, but on the softs at least, it felt like we were understeering a little bit and maybe struggling for tyre wear. As you can see, Valtteri Bottas is out of the Grand Prix. He made contact with Sergio Perez on the run into Turn 1. Just watch Bottas here. He just opens the steering and invites Sergio Perez to go up the inside. And that's just crazy. Perez has got damage as well. And he was able to easily affect that overtake. If I'm Bottas, I just close the door every day of the week, even if he is alongside. There's no way you just ease off the throttle and let him go through, because that invites problems like that to happen. And because Sergio had front wing damage, he kind of couldn't keep a tight line like he wanted to and ran wide into the path of Bottas, and he is out of the Grand Prix. But meanwhile, here comes Lewis Hamilton. He is on the attack on his medium compound tyres. He's going up the inside into Cops, and like I said, if someone's alongside into a fast corner like that, I'm not letting them go through without a fight. And we did our best to run side by side through there. Hamilton is now through, and that is for a singular point against his name. They're going to have the DRS and slipstream, but we're going to cut away from that because Carlos Sainz is out of the British Grand Prix. Unfortunately, he was behind us, so that doesn't promote us inside the top 10. We have to get past Hamilton or hope for another retirement further afield for us to get some points today, much like what happened in the Austrian Grand Prix. We were saved by the bell, if you will, by some reliability issues. With 10 laps left to go in this race, it's looking somewhat unlikely that that'll be the same case here today. We've still got Sergio Perez behind us, closing us in, possibly, though he does have front wing damage, so I don't know if he'll have the overall pace to do so, but the gap is 5 or 6 seconds behind. Hopefully we can keep them at bay for the rest of the Grand Prix, but the pace in the second half of the race is even worse than what it was on the soft. You can see I'm a second away from my best lap delta, and we're just losing time hand over fist over Lewis Hamilton. So it's just a case of, well, I don't want to say cruising, but just cycling home to the end without, you know, using too much of the car or the engine. I was still pushing pretty hard for the most part. I was, you know, using higher gears occasionally here or there, but it wasn't really knocking around my pace a whole deal, to be honest. I was probably losing 2/10 a lap maximum just by using higher gears. But yeah, for the most part, the car was just really slow. I feel like the car was really flat in the second half of the race. Like, there was just no energy. It's really weird to explain, but I feel like, yeah, it could be engine related. I just felt pretty slow for the second half of the race especially, and yeah, there was not too much I could do. I was flat out now for the final 5 laps, as we recognise that the cars behind are now closing in. Pierre Gasly has now moved his way up into P12, getting past Sergio Perez, who had front wing damage. He nearly got up the inside of me there into Magnus Beckett's, but we hold on to P11 for now. And again, I'm going to fight tooth and nail to try and hold on to this position, just in case there is a retirement in the top 10. But it looks like we're going to have to hope for maybe 2 retirements now, as Pierre Gasly has soared through for P11 in this British Grand Prix. We're now on the last lap, and I'm trying to mount a counter-attacking challenge on the French driver, but it's just to no avail. It's going to be P12 for us today. Max Verstappen wins the British Grand Prix. He's actually overcome his teammate who was leading the majority of this race. It's actually a very close affair for the 2 Red Bulls, but Max gets the ascendancy at the halfway point in the season, and he retakes the lead of the driver's standings. It's tit for tat at this stage at Red Bull, and Max has the ascendancy, but in Tiametmarduk land is, a bit of a deflating result, if I'm honest. It's going to be P12 or P11 at best. It's not going to be a points finish for us today. It could have been so much more. We felt so competitive in qualifying. I could have gone faster. I could have been in Q3, but in the race, the pace has just dissipated, and I'm not too sure why. So that'll be something we'll need to look into for future Grand Prix. But it is going to be P12 today. So far, we've come, and we have absolutely nothing to show for it.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
Red Bull pulling out all the stops today. What a great win. The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team. They performed exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations to everyone at the team.
So Red Bull dominant as ever, filling out the podium. I think Haas got a P3 there, so that's good for them. But yeah, for us, there was a couple of factors that were lacking for us today. It was definitely something on the engine side. We just weren't as fast as some other teams, especially towards the end there. Like Pierre Gasly soared right past me, and Lewis Hamilton as well just had straight line speed for days. So it's a little bit confusing when that happens. When in qualifying things all looked fine, I felt like we had a good car straight line speed wise. We were running 4.6 wings. We were lacking a little bit of downforce. Like I said, I did have to maybe hold back a little bit at some high speed corners relative to the time trial Mercedes car. But yeah, it was just a frustrating race, to be honest. We were in the battle at the start, and I don't know, maybe the cars behind us were just squabbling a lot in the early stages. They finally got some clear space and got some rhythm and were able to make up the difference. This isn't really a driver's track anymore, and yeah, it really showed today. So P12, no points. But what we do get is a bonus in resource points. We passed the hard team goal, which was achieved last race. I think it was a P14 result that the team were asking for, which we managed to smash, by the way. So that's an extra few points our way. 600 to the tally. And we also beat the rivalry against Romain Grosjean, which is a bonus of 250 resource points. So we have 2k worth of points to spend in this episode. And so, yeah, we just got to have a think about where we're going to spend it. It could be on the engine side, which I said we were lacking a little bit. If you look on paper, the chassis side is the element of the car that is lacking the most. We can't do any weight reduction upgrades, which I ideally would have wanted to do. Weight redistribution would be a good upgrade to go down, but I don't really feel like it's going to give us the outright pace that we're looking for. So I feel like it either has to be downforce or possibly even, the engine. And judging by the tree there, we've actually got 2 ultimate upgrades to spend on the engine, meaning that the engine probably isn't the greatest in the world, so we should probably focus on one of those, especially when you consider that we've got Belgium and also Italy coming up on the calendar. So that'll go on in time for the Belgian Grand Prix, and that'll be a worthy upgrade for us nonetheless. 500 more points to spend, and we should be done here. I thought about doing a front downforce upgrade. I don't think I had the points to do so, so we're going to spend it in the chassis area, and it looks like it's going to be weight redistribution. So that will round out the upgrades. For today's episode, we have a whole buttload worth of upgrades heading our way very, very soon. We've got the major engine upgrade, which we're targeting for Spa, but we also have the ultimate weight reduction upgrade heading our way for Hungary, which will be not next race, but the race after that. So I'm very much looking forward to it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Frustrating race, I've got to say, but I hope that in the not too distant future, these frustrating kind of races will be a thing of the past. And who knows, maybe we can get a better teammate as well. Toro Rosso, I hope you're listening. Kvyat, get him out of here. Let's get Hamilton here. Or Lucas Weber. He will deliver us a championship eventually. See you next time, guys.